people identify sales as the process of talking about their product. That means telling everything they've learned about the product during the product training session to another person sitting in front of them or talking to them on the phone. And it's all good about this scheme. The only thing that people kind of forget or ignore is that there's another human being participating in this conversation. They actually forget it's a conversation and that the person on the other side is listening. And maybe they don't always want to listen, and maybe they have questions, maybe they disagree with something, maybe they want to comment. But in our brains, a sales pitch is a monologue. A sales pitch is a powerful, convincing, short, sometimes not very short, monologue that you have to kill the person with your pitch. You have to convince them. You have to make sure they believe you, whatever. So people are trained to deliver pitches, to deliver monologues that are supposed to convince another person, and they completely ignore the fact that it's another person who can have a different opinion, who can have a comment, who might have had a fight with a wife or with a husband just 10 minutes ago or a day before, that maybe something on is going on in their mind. No one is trying to connect with that person. Everybody tries to sell. And there's nothing bad about sales. What I find confusing, and what is confusing to me personally, is that many people misunderstand the concept of sales. They see sales and a sales pitch as a pitch presentation as a monologue, and it's never a monologue, because you want another person to buy something from you. And people only buy from people they trust. And people buy again from people they trust a lot. What happens very often, and what I see a lot when I work with sales teams, is you can convince a person once, especially when it comes to working with startups and investors. If you don't have good relationships with a person, they will buy once, they will never buy again. You can push them, you can manipulate them, you can force them to make a sales decision, and they will. And then they will never buy again, and the relationship will be ruined. Therefore, when I interview people for my public speaking training, there's one thing that strikes me, and it is people share with me that they have no problem talking about business. They feel quite confident in this. I don't want to call it a comfort zone, but because there's nothing comfortable about it. There's nothing comfortable about being unable to talk to another human being, being unable to recognize that there is another human being sitting in front of you. But they feel very confident when they talk about their product, when they sell. So people share with me that talking about business is nothing special. They don't need training here. And I'm not even trying to train them, because there's a reason why they have this job, and they do their job a lot better than mine. However, in any industry, and this year I've had a chance to work with a pharma industry, IT industry, mobile carriers, what else? Another pharmaceutical company, chocolate manufacturer, any industry, you name it. People are very uncomfortable talking to people when it's not about business. When it comes to business, everyone is cool. When it's not about business, when it's a conversation with a client during a coffee break, or when a client is inviting them for lunch, or when you want to take a client out for lunch, or if it's a networking event, or how do you talk to a client if they don't buy? How do you keep the relationship going? How do you make even a decision to keep the relationship? It's very frustrating for people when clients don't buy. So for most people, they immediately become uninteresting. And to me, it's a sign and a signal that people don't even recognize people in clients. They only see wallets, and they communicate with the bank account information, not with a human being, and their emotional state, their energy, their information, their personality. Another person, in fact, it's information. It's a lot of information, and it's a fundamental skill to be able to deal with this information in a not biased way, and in a very human way. Separating person from business doesn't always bring long-term results. All the results I've seen are kind of very short-term and disappointing. So people don't need training when it comes to sales or public speaking or talking about their product. They really need training to understand other human beings and to learn how to make a client trust you, how to make a client feel comfortable around you, how to actually to get to that point where the person is comfortable buying something from you. Not the point when you are comfortable selling something to them. And a lot of people get pumped up, they get all this training to feel confident, they need to stand in the power pose, you know, so funny. And they train themselves to feel confident to sell something, to pitch something. And to me, it's like I can't even get it through my mind. How can they forget that it's not about them? It's about the client. It's about the person. A client is the most important person in your business. It's where the money comes into your business. The client brings the money, and the client brings life to your business. Life. Without the client, your business is nothing. And yet, people train themselves to sell, to convince, to manipulate, to push. And they don't train this skill of understanding other people, of making other people trust them and trusting themselves in the first place.